Good morning. Welcome to Board Game Barrister, our local game shop in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It is Tuesday, and you know what that means. We've just finished our first ever game of Next Station London, a tiny little game where we get to draw all the underground routes in London so that it helps the people who live there, and we get to do it with different colored pencils, which is sweet. You'll see how it works in just a minute. I am here with my fellow barristers, Glenn and Elizabeth, and I'm Andy, and before we get into all the stuff we thought about this game and what made it awesome, we're going to talk about how it plays a little bit. Welcome to Next Station London, a cool little game where we're going to be able to draw our own networks of underground subway lines in the city of London. When the game begins, each player gets their own city map, as well as one random pencil from among the 4 colors in the game. Now don't worry if you don't get your favorite color, you're actually going to get to use all 4 of the pencils over the course of the game. Let's say we started with purple. Now at the beginning of each round, once we've got our pencils in hand, we're going to start flipping cards off the top of the station card deck. There's some fun stylistic art and designs on each of these cards, but what really matters is the shape showing in that circle. I've got the purple pencil, and I see a circle drawn, which means that I'm going to start at my departure station with the purple border, and from there I am going to start creating my route by drawing a line to a circle. Bloop. Once we've drawn our first line, every single shape after that means that we can start from either the beginning or the end of our current line to continue it. So I could move my next onto this triangle here. This one's a wild card, so that's great. So what are we trying to accomplish as we're drawing these lines? Well, we'll score points in a bunch of different ways, but for each individual line that we're working on, like my purple line here, I want to make sure this line enters as many different districts, which are separated by these little yellow lines, as possible. But I also want to make sure that I have one big cluster of stops in one district. So if I could get 4, 5, maybe even 6 in a single district, that's great for me. We're going to keep on drawing those lines and connecting stations as we draw those cards until we see the 5th and final underground come up. That signals the end of this round, and this will be the final route that we draw this round. When a round ends, that means it's time to pass our pencils to the left, take the new pencil we've got in hand, and then look at the new departure station for that color and start an entirely new line there. We get bonus points for each time our lines cross the Thames River, as well as for each time we get a line to stop at a tourist location with these little designs around them. And finally, we get bonus points if we can get our lines to connect like my blue and my purple do at this interchange station here. Once everybody's used all 4 pencils and has 4 different lines, their network is complete, and we'll score them up and see who did it best.
One of the things I really like about Next Station London is it feels like a really good mid-range roll and write game. I feel like I'm making some really good decisions and strategizing to some degree, but it's super light and I don't feel like my brain hurts when I'm playing it. So I feel like I could play this pretty much anytime with any group and be fairly satisfied.
Okay. It's got this great sense of like, for the most part, you always have an option of something that's going to feel good to do. Every single time we flip a card, there's so many stations on this map that unless you've really dug yourself into a corner, which we did do a few times, but knowingly so, normally there's another station you're able to jump to and then start moving your line out in other directions, which just feels good. Drawing lines on paper that are different colors and having this entire network done by the end of the game felt sweet, and it was only because we just kept flipping one card at a time and drawing one new line, and then flipping another card and then drawing one new line.
I mean, I love the way the deck is set up, that it is really random. We could play simply 5 cards and that's it.
Yeah.
It could happen. Or we can play through the whole, we played through the whole deck.
Often.
All the first 3 times in this last game, and then the last round we came up short by just 1 card.
Yep.
Yeah, by just 1 card.
Yep.
But I mean, you could theoretically just go boom, 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 done, and you're like, wow,
There's
Yep.
my route.
that's like nothing.
And that feels like a huge loss, like, oh no, this went so badly and unlucky for me, but you can look around the table and go, oh, it's the exact same for everybody else. So it's actually not a feel bad, it's just a, ooh, that was weird, huh?
It feels like a really interesting game because you have that balance of trying to increase your points by having more stops in a single district, but balancing that with making more stops in more individual districts total, because you're going to be multiplying the 2 numbers. So the math on this feels like a really interesting balancing point that you're trying to hit, but you've also got these cool bonuses to take into account. So it gives my brain a lot of really great activity to be looking at.
I also love the fact that I went with pencil and not dry erase. Because once I draw that line, I'm locked. That line's going, it's done. I can't go back, I can't undo it. I can't change my mind partway through. I started it, that's what it is.
No erasers.
No erasers.
And we should mention, we didn't play with them because it was our first time opening the box, but there's some extra advanced things you can add into the game, which actually aren't that advanced. It's pretty cool how straightforward these are. So we've got these shared objectives. There's 5 cards total. You draw 2 of these for each game you're going to play, and they just give you little extra things to aim for. So this one says you want to have crossed the Thames 6 times by the end of the game between all of your lines. There's another that says you should have a presence in all 9 of the central districts in the city, and even more exciting, you are going to have an option to give each of the 4 pencils a special power at the beginning of the game. So you're going to choose which pencil gets which power. Those move with the pencils, and this gives you the option to like treat one of your stations as if it was 2 stations in 1 district for your multiplier. You can choose to have a wild card anytime you want to, 1 time during each line when you have that pencil in hand. So these one-time little bonuses that pencil could save you because it's the special power that came with pink or something like that. Super exciting. We say it on a number of the games we've covered in these takeaways that a lot of games are like good like solo puzzles. This one feels like it might be the most of all. There is exactly no interaction with the other players at the table except that you're handing them a pencil at some point. But there's no way that you are taking something that somebody might have been going for and getting to it before them even. You are literally getting all the same resources and trying to do a cleaner puzzle than everybody else was. And it's not even that you have the exact same resources, because when we draw that triangle, I'm holding pink, you're holding purple, you're holding blue, so we're working on totally different areas of our map, which is fascinating.
This is a pretty good for most groups game. I would say if you did have the younger kids, like 8, 9, 10, maybe you would leave the advanced rules out because you might have it might just be one too many layers to keep track of as far as like that planning and sequencing and layering of extra things that you're paying attention to. Because, I mean, you could play, if everyone was evenly matched, I just wouldn't play the advanced cards if you have mixed adults and kids.
Yeah. Also, if you like England and London, this is an actual map of the Thames crossing through London, and they've put the tourist sites where the actual tourist sites are. It is just a nice little kind of homage and visit to London as well, which I really liked. Alrighty, well, thank you so much for joining us for our takeaways of Next Station London. We love this little one. Can't wait to get it to the table again. If you like the video, hit that like button. That means the YouTube algorithm is going to show this video to more people, which we really appreciate. If you got a comment, leave a comment. We love chatting with our viewers. And as always, hitting that subscribe button will mean that you get to see all of our Tuesday videos every single week when we post them. Thank you so much for watching us this week, and we will see you next time.